Get money, get money. What's up, money getters? Welcome to my channel. I am Charity, and I am also the mommy money getter. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. What's up? You see the thumbnail tonight? It's all about single mothers versus married mothers. Yes, I'm trying to get some mess started. I'm being messy tonight. And I want to hear what both sides have to say. I want to hear from the married mothers. I want to hear from the single mothers. I want to read those comments. When you come in this chat, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. We want to get a good convo going. Let's get more people in here. Share this live. Because tonight we're going to finally get to the bottom of this whole single mothers versus married mothers ordeal, right? I want to say quite often single mothers can come off as bitter, and married mothers can come off as catty, as though they have one up on single mothers, right? But we're going to get into that, and we're going to see at the end of this life if single mothers and married mothers have more in common than they think. Because I think that motherhood is motherhood and it's hard no matter what, right? When you're bringing a life into this world, there are so many demands placed on you as a woman, and I just feel like there shouldn't be a division between single mothers and married mothers because we're all in this together, right? Right, so we should all be supporting each other. Um, I feel like it's a social caste situation. Like, oh, if you're poor, you're at the bottom, and if you're rich, you're at the top. And it's the same thing for single women versus married women, right? Um, if you're a single woman, it's like, okay, um, you work, and yes, you have a career, you own your home, but where's your man, right? So you could be doing the doggone thing as a mom. You could be working, juggling your career. You could be at every extracurricular activity for your kid. You're not missing a beat as a mother. But then someone will say, well, but where's your husband? Why aren't you married? And they'll ask crazy questions like, how many baby daddies do you have? Hey Taylor, thanks for joining my live. I see 8 people in here, 20 people. I need you guys to go ahead and give my live a thumbs up for me. Let's get everybody in here. Let's get this conversation going. It's married mothers versus single mothers. I need everybody in the chat. I need everybody engaging. Let's get this conversation going because, you know, let's see what it really is all about. Let's see if it's really better to be married or if single moms have it better, right? Because I've been married before and then I got divorced and now I'm a single mom, right? And I'm going to tell you, for me, it hasn't been easy either way. Um, First of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I feel about being married, right? I feel that being married is a choice you make based on how you view life. If you're a religious person, automatically you know and you understand that marriage should be before having children. You too, you're a mother too, Taylor. If you're a worldly person, you might not feel that marriage should be a prerequisite before having children. You may feel like um, it's okay to have children and not be married. And we all have our different outlook about parenting and motherhood, right? Some women can't have children and they elect to have a surrogate carry for them. Some women have been unlucky in love and they're up in age and they decide that they want to adopt, right? There's different paths to motherhood. So what works for someone else and what is going to make someone else happy may not make you happy, and that's fine. That's totally okay to be different. But the majority of society, and that's what we're basing it on, not on those outliers, not on those few people, because let's just be real, very few people elect to go into motherhood as a single parent. And let's just get that out the way. The most important part is the ability. I agree, Taylor, um, because not everybody can have a child. Now, let me tell you about me. Like I said, I think that as a Christian, I feel that all children should be born to married to a married couple, right? A man and a woman. I believe that should be the starting point. If you want to have a child, you should have finances together, you should have housing together, you should be a mature couple who has lived and experienced life, and you should have traveled, you should have gone through a few different things so that once you have a child, then that child doesn't come into this world with their parents being ill prepared for them, right? Because, like you said, Taylor, the most important part is the ability to care for them, no matter who you are, because a lot of children are born to parents who are just incapable of putting them first, who don't know their head from a hole in the ground. So I feel like we could just end this live right there, right with what you said, Taylor. But we're going to keep it going because I don't know. I want to be a little petty. I want to see what everybody has to say on this subject. So that's what I feel. That a child should be born under the best conditions, and they should have uh, an opportunity to have a life conducive to their well-being. And that doesn't always happen. You have kids born to mothers addicted to drugs. You have children born to fathers that leave the mom before they're even born. And that shouldn't happen. In a civilized society, we should do better, right? We should make sure that we are promoting healthy families, right? And healthy families put their children first. And the way you put your children first is by creating an atmosphere for them to, adapt and to grow and to have a good life. But what about when that doesn't happen? What about when a couple is madly in love, they do all that wedding stuff, they dated a while before marrying, and now it's about 10 years later, they have a family. They have little Timmy, little Melanie, and they have Jessica, right? So they have a budding family, right? Everybody loves each other, but then the stresses of a career life, the mundaneness of family life, you get bored, right? And then suddenly that person just sneezes the wrong way, or the way that they look when they wake up in the morning, or the way that they chew, it just irritates you. And then that just, it takes a lot of maturity, and it takes a lot of humbleness to get past that, right? And then what if one of the partners is really into their career and they're not spending enough time with the family? And what if they divorce? And then now you were married for years, but you still have little ones to provide for and take care of. And hopefully you can co-parent with that other parent, right? Hopefully you guys could do it together. But what if you can't manage? Because your partner is just so antagonistic and you guys are just not getting along and you can't make it about the kids. Then what? Taylor, you holding me down. Um, then you have to separate, right? And it's like, even though the child has two parents, they have two single parents. Now, under the best circumstances, even if the marriage wasn't able to work, the parents should still be able to co parent. It should never get to that point where the parents just hate one another, right? They should still be able to work together and show up for those kids. But again, what if that doesn't happen? What if a woman meets a man and marries him and she misses those red flags, right? Because I want to say this. Some people will say, well, I didn't know he was like that. Or I didn't know he was like that. Yes, you did. No. Taylor, get you some sleep, honey. Get you some rest. But some people will say, well, I missed those red flags because he love bombed me at the beginning and he showed me all this affection and he showed me all this love and there he was for me. And then after he got the ring on my finger, he snapped and he changed. I don't believe that for 1 second. You already knew. And if you didn't know, now you do know. Let it be a learning lesson. But I really do feel that you should take your time getting to know someone well enough to marry them and have children with them. Because if you don't know them, if the wool was pulled over your eyes like that, you are asleep. And you shouldn't have been getting married and having children anyway. But life happens. None of us are perfect, right? We all have different we all have different outcomes in spite of our best intentions. We just don't know, right? So, with that being said, if you are a married woman and you find yourself in that position, do you stay for the children's sake? Do you continue to be abused, or do you continue to be unhappy just so you could say, well, my children have a family? I say no, because then that starts to bleed over into the children. They hear the arguing. I know. I'm going to digress for a moment. When I was married, I thought my children didn't hear me arguing with their father. I thought my children didn't notice all of the separations. I thought that my children um, were ambivalent to it because they were young, but they did notice. They noticed it all, and they didn't have the words to put together. But my last reconciliation with their father, my daughter was probably, she must have been, she must have been around 11 or 12 years old. Hey, keep pushing. Been married for 50 years. You do have different seasons in a relationship or marriage, in my opinion. Absolutely. Thanks for joining. I was just talking about how when I was married, how uh, I didn't think that the dysfunction and the toxicity that I was experiencing was affecting my children, but it was. And I realized that when I got divorced. I was divorced from my children's father, and we made one last ditch effort to reconcile, right? After a lot of different stuff we had been through. And I want to say my fourth to last daughter, she just said, I like it better when you're not here. She told her that I like it better when you're not here. And I'm like, whoa. And he felt so bad. He felt so bad um, hearing that come from our daughter. But she was just being honest. He said, well, because we had a round table with all of the kids, and he asked them, well, how do you feel about? And she told him, I like it better when it's just us girls, because, everybody knows I'm a girl mom, right? And she told her dad straight up, I like it better when it's just us girls. And that hurt him. But we weren't gonna last anyway. And, we had already divorced, and then we had our final goodbye. And a year later, he ended up passing away. Red flags are sometimes we just ignore them, but they're always there. Yes, they're always there. With him, we started off as friends. We knew each other for a few years. He was never supposed to be my husband. He was just supposed to be my best friend. We were very good friends and we were very close. And even once we got married, we would fight like cats and dogs, arguing. No actual fighting, but arguing a lot. And it would get a little out of control. And he would say, and he was the type, he was like, don't you say nothing cross about me in front of my kids. He didn't want the kids to know that we argued. He didn't want me to say anything bad about him. He didn't want to say anything bad about me. He wanted the kids to look at him in a different life, which I understood and I got. And like I said, I didn't think that our kids heard us arguing or that they knew or that they were noticing exactly what was going on. No, we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. We were married. We were married, Taylor. So, yes, unfortunately, their father passed away after that. And, I didn't have any decisions to make. It was done, it was over with, and for good. And so then I really became a single mother for real. But I quite often felt like a single mother while we were married because we would separate. Um, we would get together and break up. It was just really, not a good thing for our kids to be a part of anyway. And so I I've been single since then, and single, divorced, single, and I've dated a few frogs since. Yes, the kids do know, right? Keep pushing forward. They know. Keep pushing forward. But 50 years, I want to give you a hand clap. Let me see. Let me give you a hand clap because, as you said, it's not easy staying married to someone for that long, and that takes a lot of humility. It takes a lot of pushing your pride to the side and keeping your ego in check. It also takes a lot of forgiveness, right? Tell me a little bit about that. Keep pushing forward. Because I know some people say we never had an argument or we made the decision early on that we would never go to sleep mad. I would hear people say things like that, and then sometimes you hear people who have been married for 50 years say, shoot, it wasn't easy and I had to go through this and that with them, but, you know, so, but I don't think that people should expect for marriage to be easy. Do your kids play soccer? No, they don't play soccer. I wanted to get them into soccer, but they never quite want to get into that. One year, one played football. One year they did cheer. They did the ballet thing. They did the dance thing. So, um, my girls were into gymnastics for a long time. They did that for years until one year my daughter broke her wrist doing gymnastics. But that was pretty much what they were into, was gymnastics for a long time. And then one of my daughters played basketball. So they done the sports thing, but yeah. Yes, a lot of forgiveness. Right. Right. I think that's love too. But sometimes when you don't love somebody, sometimes you just have to agree to disagree with them, right? Keep pushing forward. But yes, I think love, people say love shouldn't hurt, but only somebody you love can hurt you, right? And sometimes they can hurt you unintentionally, right? By not noticing that you need more affection. And maybe you said it, but maybe sometimes they don't have it to give because, say, your partner loses a parent, then you have to kind of be there for them because they can't be there for you. You have to be there for them, right? Or say your partner who has always been provided, who has always been a provider, suddenly they they get laid off from work, or they had a thriving business that suddenly went belly up. So now you have to endure that season of them going through the emotions of, or the emotions of being at a loss. I know what that feels like when I had to leave my job due to stress and anxiety, right? I have been at my career for 20 years and I thought I would always be there. I play soccer. I'm just saying that if you're a good person. Right, Taylor. So I know what that was like. And when I was married, that my job was a challenge for us a lot of times because I would bring that job home and I would be telling my husband about it. He'd be like, "Oh, Charity, like, just go to work and make your money. Don't even worry about those people." And that was the hardest thing for me to do, right? So, as I was saying, the parts about being married are sometimes what I felt as a mom. I felt at the time like sometimes I felt like I wasn't getting the help I needed with my children um, when he was here and when he wasn't here in the home. When he was in the home, the children behaved better. They loved having their mother and father together. They loved being a part of a family. They really loved their dad, and they loved me. So it's no, you know, it's a no-brainer that they loved being a part of a family. They loved when we would go out on outings, or when we would, do things as a family. When we would go out to dinners and go to the beach. We have so many memories and so many pictures. It's not even funny because uh, my husband was that type of guy. He liked to do things with the kids all the time, or just me and him. He didn't really like. Uh, he was a weirdo. He didn't really like, doing things outside of that. He liked it to be the family, meaning me, him, and our children. So, um, but like I said, there was a lot going on. And one time he looked at me. He said, "I feel like I'm in your way." That's crazy for a father and a husband to say to his wife, but he felt like he was on the outside looking in. And then he said, "Oh well, we have girls. I don't know what I'm supposed to do." Okay, you're supposed to grab the shoes and put them on their feet. Like I would be getting the kids dressed, and he's already like in the car, like he's waiting on me. I'm like, "What are you doing? Where's the diaper bag? You could have packed the diaper bag," and that would make me so frustrated, right? So while needless to say, or suffice it to say, my ideals of marriage, I guess it was a self-fulfilling prophecy because when I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of solid marriages. You saw Bill and Claire Hustable on TV, and as a little black girl, I aspired to one day probably have something like that, but or it seemed cool. No, I didn't aspire for that to have that, but it seemed cool and it seemed idealistic, but it didn't seem like it would be something that would be a reality for me because I just didn't see, not in my home, not in the home I grew up in, not in my friends' homes or the people that I knew. I just didn't see enough uh, married parents who made it look like that was something that I wanted. I actually wanted the opposite of that. I wasn't one of those kids, sometimes you hear kids say, "I never want to have kids." Well, nowadays you do. I think when I was growing up, every girl I knew had a baby doll and they would comb their doll's hair and they would have names picked out already for their child. But I wasn't any different. I wanted the same thing. I knew I wanted children. I think I had the number three. I always saw myself with three children, maybe two girls and a boy. First child would be a boy, and then two little girls, or maybe three girls. I can't remember. But I knew I definitely wanted at least two girls, right? Maybe a son. I didn't have a son. I had five girls. And so moving on from there, I just Growing up, I knew I was going to go to college. I knew that I was going to have children, but I didn't see myself getting married. I just didn't see that for me. I did not want to get married because I didn't want to have that dysfunctional lifestyle that I just saw everybody experiencing. I didn't want to be married to a man that mistreated me or my children. I didn't want that for us. And I did want the baby, but I didn't. I said maybe I have a baby and we didn't live together. I felt like, I still feel like that's perfect for me. Like, if I was to remarry, you have your house, I have mine. And we visit each other or whatever. I feel like that's perfect for me. Or maybe sometimes I'll come to your house and stay over. Sometimes you'll come to my house and stay over. I know it sounds silly, right? But that's just the way I'm thinking. Taylor, my wife had 5 boys. Woo! That's awesome, Taylor. I think when you get multiples of the same thing, I think if you have 5 girls or you have 5 boys, because some people say girl dad, and they'll have 2 girls and 4 boys. Like when Kobe said he was a girl dad, he meant because all he had was girls. I'm a girl mom, all I have is girls. And you're a boy dad because all you have is boy. You don't have a mixture. You have one of the same. So I felt like God just entrusted me with boys. And I was okay with that. He wanted me to have all girls for some reason. Um, and I love being a girl mom. But yes, I you know maybe God was showing me a different set of circumstances. Maybe as I'm more obedient to God and my my outlook begins to align with God's will for me, maybe I'll change my perspective about marriage and actually want to be married to somebody and live, my happily ever after with them if that's possible. Maybe that would happen, but as it stands right now, that's not something that um, I could readily identify with. So what I see is, the experience I've had and what I've seen from others has been negative. So that's why I said that single mothers could come off as bitter. And I try not to come off as bitter because, for one, I have every reason to be happy. And if you are bitter, you're just at a standstill. That means that you feel like your mistakes are bigger than the lessons that you've learned. Like, you can't begin again. That's what people who are bitter are. They feel like they messed up so bad, or they are living with so much regret that they don't see and they don't have any hope. So they become bitter when they see a woman who is married, right? And they feel like she has something that they were unsuccessful at, or she's more successful in her marriage, or whatever. But I think that's the wrong way to look at it. But that's one aspect of it. Because I also, like I said, seen married mothers who I feel like had to fight so hard to stay married. And I think that's the part I didn't want. I didn't want, and I did fight hard for my marriage. I did. But I didn't want to fight so hard that I lost me. And I did lose me too. I lost me. I definitely lost me. Thank God I found me though. But I just see women who never get back to them and who are just constantly beholden to a man, right? And me, I'm a very independent woman. And, you know, they can't make a move without their husband. They can't go around their family because the husband doesn't want to. They can't, work a certain job. They can only work certain hours. They can't really live their life based on their own terms, right? Because when you're a married couple, you should make your decisions together, right? Definitely, you guys should do what's best for the family. But I always feel like if a husband loves his wife, then he will respect that she should have some autonomy in the relationship, right? How do you make a video? I'm not sure what you mean, but right now we're discussing single mothers versus married mothers. But if you Google that, you can probably Google how to make a video. Google that or put it in the search engine, how to make a video, Taylor, and I'm sure uh, a gazillion videos will pop up showing you how to do that. Just type exactly what you just asked me in to the search engine on YouTube or Google, and you'll get your answer. But yes. So life is tough, but we have to always look at both sides of the coin and really evaluate life because, like I said at the top of this video, guys, do me a favor when you come in the live, just go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And then that way you just are really good to go. You're already square with me. And also, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button, right? You're going to love it over here. I have lives every night for the month of June. I'll be going at least 2 hours a night. So there's that. And then I have lots of other good videos on my page, shorts, lives. I mean, cooking, shopping, uh, playlists on content creation and how to make money doing this YouTube thing. And then great conversations like this, right? So when you join my crew, when you subscribe to my page, you'll become a part of the money getters, right? Because we get to the money over here. That's what it's all about. Living life, loving life, raising them babies, and getting it back while you're at it. What's up, Focal Point Extension? Thanks for joining. Tonight we are talking about single moms versus married mothers. And I was also saying when you come on in, go ahead and hit that thumbs up for us. And let's get some more people in this convo. Now, where I was at was talking about, we already covered uh, married life and things like that, but we're still on married mothers right now. And how sometimes we went over married mothers who are doing well in their relationship, right? And we went over bitter single mamas. And now we're at married women who may not be having a good go at marriage, right? On the outside looking in, it looks like their marriage is going well. But on the inside, if you really look at it, it's like, girl, you need to get a divorce, right? And I would hate to say that about anybody because if you can, I mean, you don't want to just get divorced because you guys are having minor spats, right? Today, he looked at you cross-eyed and you were so unattracted to him, right? You don't want to throw away a good marriage because you guys, he didn't want to turn the TV off or she kept the light on and was reading all night and you couldn't sleep. You don't want to throw your marriage away over petty indifference like that. But sometimes it gets rough, right? Sometimes he takes his paycheck and he does what he wants to do. And now you're left holding the bag because both of you have careers, both of you earn a good amount of money, or maybe you saved up enough of a nest egg, right? After your bills are paid, after the kids are taken care of, you guys still have a good chunk of change that you've been saving. But you look up one day and he's bought him a new car with the savings without consulting with you, right? So those are big things in a marriage. Or maybe he's gambling, or maybe he's drinking, right, moms? And you're trying to make it work and you're trying to stay in a marriage because the kids love their father, and um, the kids don't really understand what's going on, but you do, or you think the kids don't really understand, right? Until things start getting worse, or the utilities get cut off, or Dad has a drug habit, and now he's staying gone away from home for days on end, or he has another woman, right? And he's splitting his time between you and the other woman. And it's impossible for you to stay in that marriage because now you're looking a fool. Now the kids realize, wait a minute, dad hasn't been home in days, weeks, right? So there are a lot of mothers who are married and they're single mothers too, right? Because although a male is present, he's not upholding his end of the relationship. And that could be difficult to go through, right? So we already know that that mom probably has it worse than a single mom because at least a single mom knows that she has to do it on her own. She already knows that she has to work and take care of her kids and make sure that they have childcare. She already knows that she has to make sure that she checks the locks at night and make sure the windows are closed shut. She knows that she doesn't have a husband. It's just her and the kids. So that's the way she lives her life. But when you think about a single mother, you think about a mother who is overworked, tired, and who is drained mentally and physically, right? Because it takes a lot to do it on your own. If you have one child and you're a single mom, okay, you probably have lots of resources available to you because if unless you just don't have any family, you know most likely you could have grandma help out and grandpa help out on both sides of the family if you were married and you married someone who at least had a family. He has a mom and dad that would also help with that one child, right? But once you get two, things start getting a little shaky because people would definitely take one child on, right? But when you start having two, three, four, five, then you can basically forget it unless you just have the world's greatest grandparents and you have well behaved children. Then you're going to be probably worrying about child care, like who's going to pick up little JoJo from soccer practice, or how can you uh, use your lunch break to hurry up and take your child to their orthodontist visit and get them back to school and you get back to work. It's a lot. I know because I've been there, done that. I'm doing that. I've been to the point where I wouldn't take my lunch break because I had to go pick my kids off at up from school at when they got out of school and drop them off at my mom's. And then after I did that, go back to work, then get off work, try to go to the grocery store and pick up something to go along with dinner, then go pick my kids up from my mom's and come home, make dinner, throw a few loads in the washer, help with homework, get clothes ready for the next day. And it was crazy. I would say that was so nerve wracking for me. I don't know how I survived it because, like I said, I was already working at a stressful job, which I was hating, but I was making good money. Well, decent money. I was making enough money to provide for me and my children, right? So, and I didn't have to be on welfare. I didn't have to ask anybody for anything. I could do everything that we needed, even though it wasn't like we just had an extravagant life, right? So, but that was difficult. And those were the times when it got difficult. I think that it made me get back with their father sometimes because it was like, okay, at least when he's here, he can take some of the load off of me and help with some of those things that I had to do, right? And I think that's why some single mothers or some married mothers stay or they go back, right? Because you need that extra help, or you just need somebody to take some of that extra parent there to take some of that stress off of you. Because sometimes that's what it's really a lot of. Now, there are those single mothers who just are very organized and just have it together. They, make sure that the clothes are washed on the weekends and they make sure that dinner is prepared a week in advance. So they have a few meals already when they get home from work. Guys, now that I think about it, I don't know why I never meal prepped. If I could go back in time, but I would be so tired on the weekends. And then on Saturdays, I had it in my mind like on Saturdays would be for me and the kids, and Sunday would be for church. So we were still going to church on Sundays, and so we would get up early and go to church, and I would take my kids to breakfast on Sundays when we would go to church, and then Saturdays I would try to find something for them to do. Where I live, we would go to the movies, or when they were younger, we would go do arts and crafts at different places. Just whatever I would find for us to do, or like I said, if they had gymnastics, sometimes I would do that after work. But I always try to make sure that they have something to do. So, but that's the one thing I would do if I can go back in time. I would probably took Friday night off, and maybe when I got off work on Friday, maybe we would have did something as a family on Friday, and then we could have slept in a little bit on Saturday, and then got up and got all our clothes ready for the next week, and then Sunday church, and then Sunday find something to do. But hindsight is 2020. But yeah, let's check these comments. How many married mothers do I have in the comments and single mothers? Put a 1 in the chat if you are single, and put a 2 in the chat if you are married. Tonight, it's all about married mothers versus single mothers, right? And as you guys can see, I am losing my voice. This is I want to say 15th night in a row going live. And I don't think I've ever talked so much. But let me take a look at my notes while you guys decide if you're married or single in the chat. All right. Okay, so where was I going from here? Um, so yes, I think that if you're single, and this is a tip, this is just a life hack, and a way that you can make life easier for yourself is definitely meal planning, budgeting, couponing. We know all those things, right? But it is going to require you to take a few hours, when you're off work to get that done. And if you have kids who are older, let them help. Let them help you roll up socks, and let them help you pick out their clothes for the next week. That's just going to save you that headache during the week. And I know how I was when my kids were little and I had to work and come home and still have all that stuff to do. That was a lot for me, so that on Saturdays, because I had did everything during the week, on Saturdays I just wanted to sleep in and I just wanted to be lazy, right? However, if I had done everything on that Saturday, then during the week, life would have been so much easier for me if I gave each kid their own laundry bag, right? And then I had each kid with their own uh, shelving system, right? And I put everybody's clothes in it, from underwear to socks to pajamas. And I think, what am I trying to get at? I think it's like a little, like you can hang it up. It's a garment. And I think I had that before. I did have that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I did have one of those garment hangers where you could just put the clothes in for different days. I did have that for a while. I did have that system going on, but like I said, I wasn't one of those Susie homemakers that was diligent about making sure that I did it consistently. And I would have schedules and things. I would buy those calendars that you put on the wall to do chores, or to have doctor's appointments and different things like that. I would try to keep that going, but it's just like when you're a single parent, when you're a married parent, you have to be very organized when you have kids, especially if you have multiple children, right? Even if you have one, because it's easy to forget one. I had one child for almost 10 years, and it was easy to forget I was a mother at that time because I'm one. No, I'm just playing. But when you have two or three children, you do have to be organized. Even if you are married or single, you have to be organized because your husband needs to know, okay, on this day, this is the day that you're going to pick up, right? So if you're a married couple, right, some days it may be his week to pick up and drop off. And then you have the easygoing week where you don't have to pick up or drop off any kids. Long as you don't forget your week. Because if you forget your week, your kid could be standing outside because you forgot it was your week to pick up. Or um, you would have a tragedy because you left the baby in the car all day because you forgot you were supposed to take that baby to the daycare. It's happened. But that's besides the point. We're not going down that rabbit hole. That's not what we're talking about. I'm just saying, that little life hack there, um, it just would have been easier for me. And the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, gosh, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I prepare for the week ahead? Because I could have saved time in the morning. I did try to braid my daughter's hair and keep their hair braided so um, that I wouldn't have to comb hair. But I look at old pictures and I'm like, what was wrong? What was I thinking? And I remember getting my kids' hair braided all the time. But when my kids were younger, for some reason, I guess they would be probably swimming in a tub, and their hair would frizz up so bad. So they would get their hair braided like 1 week, and then the next week it would already be needed to be. It would already be in need of a refreshment, right? So you got to take it down and all of that. So sometimes that could be a lot. But now they can keep their hair up a lot better. But that was another thing too, that as a single mom, that, I think it was just that, as they say, two heads are better than one, right? Or it should be. Because if you have a parent that is equal to your ambition and your goals, basically equally yoked. When they say equally yoked, they mean that you guys are both serving God, right? And you guys are both believers. But in this instance, then, like I said, you guys are both uh, consumed with achieving the same goal, and that is to raise your family. So if you're a mother and a father, then it's okay. It's the marriage first. Well, it's God first, then it's the marriage, then it's our children, then it's our career, right? In a healthy, happy home, that's the way it should be. And hubby knows, okay, I got to, take my little boy to football practice today, or it's my night to help with baths. So, wifey cleaned up, she cooked, and she's going to clean up. But tonight I do the baths and I put the kids down, right? So you're sharing the chores. But sometimes, even when a lot of the times, a lot of the times, because married couples will have that traditional role where the father works and he, brings home the bacon. But a lot of times nowadays, the father is doing that, but the mom is doing that as well, right? However, the mother still has the role of doing all of the home chores like cooking, cleaning, uh, and seeing about the kids as far as helping them, get to bed and all of that. Dad, usually when he gets home, he's, kicking back and relaxing. And that right there will pee me off, right? Like, don't come home and sit in your chair and kick your feet up. You got stuff to do, bruh. Get on in here, get your hands dirty with the kids, right? So that's another thing that can make a married woman feel like she's single. You know what I mean? So definitely stay organized. And, also, this is another issue that can affect a married couple. Like I said, it should be God, the marital union, the children, and then uh, career. But then there's the things that's in between, right? Because if you put your marriage first, where do you fit in between the kids and your job, right? When do you make time for yourself? And sometimes people have that kind of backwards. A lot of people will say, well, the kids come first. A lot of people feel that way. No, my kids come first. My kids eat first, and forget him. Those are always going to be my kids. I might get a divorce. But those kids aren't rubbing your feet at night, and those kids aren't keeping you warm, right? The marriage comes first. The marriage comes first because the marriage is the united front that keeps the kids together. If the marriage isn't first, who's going to be that solid foundation for those children, right? And if the goal is to stay together as a family and to keep a happy home for the children, then the marriage has to be first. It just has to be that way. It just makes sense, right? So the kid can't pit the parents against one another. So the kid won't feel like they can get all the attention and everything is about them. But at the same time, it's just what's age appropriate. Because if you have an infant, obviously, then you can't sit there and chill with your husband and the infant is crying because they need their diaper changed. Or if you have a toddler who's learning and exploring and growing, then obviously you're going to take that time to make sure you are growing your children up and that they are independent, right? So as those children get older and as they are more independent, then you can kind of say, you know what, kiddos, right now you guys can go outside and play for a little bit, or you guys can until it's time to wash up for dinner, or you guys could go take your bath after dinner and get ready for the next day for school, whatever you're going to tell your kids, right? So as you train your children up and as you teach them how to become independent, then you shouldn't have to do as much. But from 0 to 5, all heads are on deck, right? And then from those middle school years, or excuse me, those primary school years, then you're just making sure that they're not going outside the parameters that you have set for them, right? So that by the time they're in middle school, they have formed their own personalities and they know right from wrong. And you don't have to teach them anymore. Now you can just guide them and make sure they're staying on the right path. But that takes time, and you have to have enough maturity as an adult, let alone a parent. You have to have enough maturity to understand that once you have a kid, it's going to take a lot of grunt work to get those kids to the next level. They're cute when they first come into this world, but let's be honest, like a married couple can become a single couple. A married parents can become single parents real quick once those babies get on board, because babies change everything. Like I said, if you don't have the maturity level to understand that baby's needs come first before everything, right? If you don't have that maturity level to understand that your wife is breastfeeding, that the baby is going to cry sometimes, and if you're a man that can't stand to hear a baby crying, or you get jealous because your wife is paying more attention to your baby, then that's going to be an issue for your marriage. And that's, people think kids save marriages, but quite often kids separate the couple because, you might not be able to handle that. And people think they are until the child gets there, or maybe they're just not being honest about their needs and what they really require in a mate, and that sometimes they just want it to be, them. Sometimes a man just wants it to be him and his wife. And that may or may not ever change. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love his kid. Or it could mean that. I don't know. You guys weigh in and let me know. But all I know is when I've had children, it's always been about them, especially when they were younger, especially when they were babies. Now they're teenagers. I can ignore those little boogers as much as I want to. And they come and go in my room as they please. When they need me, they'll knock on the door. Or, like this week, I made the effort to give each teenager their individualized time. I made sure that they, whatever they asked me or said if they wanted to do, I did with them. And however it worked out is how it worked out. But I got myself up and I got out in this California heat, and I made sure I did what they wanted to do. But at the same time, let's go back to single parenting. When you don't feel like doing it, right? If you're married and you're tired and you're not feeling well, then you have your partner who can take up the slack for you, right? So say like the kids have to be at school and you're tired, you're drained, you got a project to do at work, then the other parent can take up your slack and they can pick up the children and take them and all that so that you can focus on what you need to focus on, or so that you can get your rest, right? I'm single parent. I don't have that luxury. When my kids go to school, I have to get up, whether I'm sick, whether I'm tired, no matter what. And sometimes that's a lot for me. Like this week, I haven't been feeling good, but I still been pressing through to do these lives every night. I still been getting up cooking, going to the grocery store. My daughter's learning to drive. I still been getting out, teaching her how to drive. I still have been doing all of those things, right? Because single or married, like I said, life does not stop. And there's no need to be bitter as a mother. I have to do it, right? I can't get mad at anybody. I can't get mad at my kids. It's just life. And I love them and I want to do those things for them. But sometimes I wish I had somebody to pick up the slack for me. Even if it was just, a nanny. My kids are too old for a nanny, but I would love a nanny. I would love a maid. It doesn't even have to be a husband. It could just be a chef and a maid. So that's why I'm the mommy money getter. I got to get to the bag so I can finally get my chauffeur, my maid, my chef, and my nanny. And that's all I need. If I could get those things, my life would be so great. And I would be living in bliss. I don't even need a husband at that point, right? So yeah, um, that's when I feel like as a single mom, I'm at a deficit because it's not just about, okay, I have to pay the bills on my own or I have to cook or whatever. It's about, on a good day, those things don't bother you, right? If you're at your best, if you're feeling okay and you're well rested. But what about when you didn't get enough sleep? Like I have this I have this thing where I'll go to sleep early. Like after this live, I'll probably be headed to bed, right? And I'll go to sleep fairly early, maybe 8, maybe 9. That's early to me. Maybe not to you. Maybe you stay up later. And I'll go to bed that early. But then here I am up at 3 o'clock, right? And I'm up at 3 o'clock and about 6 o'clock, I'm ready to go back to sleep, right? So if I have things to do, and I have things to do, what adult can just sleep in, right? I cannot sleep in, but at 6 o'clock, I want to sleep in. And if it's during the school year, I still got to get up. So that meant that I only slept from 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 to 3. And that's on a good night. Sometimes it's 10 to 2. Sometimes it's 9 to 1. And then I'm up. So I'm kind of slow dragging it for the rest of the day because I don't get the sleep I need. Now that it's summer, I can't sleep in, but I don't want to sleep in like that. I want to get out and do things with my girls. They are teenagers, and who wants to be in a house all summer? It's nice outside. So that's where I feel like I'm at a deficit. I've always envisioned this for me, like if I could have like a clone or two, or if I was an octopus and I had like 8 tentacles instead of 2 hands, then I could do a lot more. I could be cooking with 2 sets of tentacles, and then I could be folding laundry with the other set of tentacles, and then you guys get what I'm saying, right? So I think that's where the divide can kind of be. Um, so yeah, tonight we're getting to some things. We're putting it together and we're breaking it apart and then putting it back together. Married mothers and single mothers versus single mother. Like, who has it better? Who has a better life? Weigh in the comments and go ahead and hit the thumbs up if you haven't already done so. If you're new to my channel, my name is Charity. I am the Mommy Money Getter. Go ahead and subscribe. You're going to love it here, guys. Um, I have conversations like this all the time. Very titillating discussions that gets you to thinking. Now, let's go back to the married mothers, right? Because quite often, say you have 3 children, tack on another with their father, right? Now, instead of, you're not just doing the home chores and you're not just going to work, or you can be a stay-at-home mom. Don't let you be a stay-at-home mom, because that son of a gun, he may think, well, I'm at work all day, so I expect the house to be clean. When I come home, I expect my dinner to be on the stove. And when I get done eating and I want to watch TV, I want a beer in my hand and I want you rubbing my feet. Some people think like that. And you know what? Some women are more than happy to provide that. But to me, that doesn't seem like a wife. That seems like a servant, right? Let me know if you disagree. But I think definitely if you're a stay-at-home mom and your husband is at work all day, like, what are you doing I mean, at home? Even if you have little kids, like the very least you could do is make sure you put a couple of loaves in a washer and you can make sure dinner is ready. Even if the house is not spotless, right? At least, you know, have something done. And like I said, if you're meal prepping and you're doing that laundry on the weekend, then just throw those dirty clothes in laundry bags and then get to them on the weekend. Pull out that lasagna from the freezer, throw it in the oven so that, hey, when your husband's gone, he'll think that when he's going to work, he'll think like, oh, she's at home slaving over dinner, and I know she has so much to do. You're sitting on the couch eating bonbons with the baby. He has his set of bonbons, and you have your set, or you're meeting up with your girlfriends at the nail salon to get a pedicure, because dinner's already done, laundry's already done, and you already cleaned the house, so you don't have to worry about re-cleaning it because little Joe Jack has messed up, right? So you can go out and have some fun. You can meet up with your girls for lunch or whatever. That's cool, right? So when your husband gets home, he's none the wiser. All he knows is he smells that spaghetti on the stove. You've already, maybe you had to make a fresh salad. Maybe that's all you had to do. But you already chopped up your veggies, so it was easy for you to put that together, right? But then what if he starts nagging and, because some husbands, they'll say wives can nag, but some husbands can nag too. Like, he needs you to do everything for him. Like, oh, does this tie match this suit jacket? What do you think about this? Or he wants to tell you about his day. And then he wants to jaw jack you about this, that, and the third. And then you just want to unwind because you've had a day with the kids cooking and getting ready for the day or whatever. And now here he is. Now you got to tend to him because he's whining like a little baby. I hate grown men who whine. I really do. But, it can be like that. Or you can have a husband who has failed to launch. So even though he's an adult, he's still a little boy, right? He's still heavily relying on his mama. You know, he's got to call his mom about everything, or uh, everything that you do is a problem, and he's arguing about every little thing. And if you don't walk on eggshells with him, or if you don't defer to him for every little thing, if he doesn't know where you're at, if he doesn't get to pick the television show, if anything could ruffle that type of person's feather, because he's actually a child in an adult body, right? Right. So we're just going back and forth of, is it easier to be married and be a parent, or is it easier to be single, or both? Is it both? It depends, right? It depends, because some women don't mind going behind their husbands and picking up socks because he just threw them wherever, he just threw his clothes wherever. Some women have, resigned themselves to, okay, my husband, this is what he does, and I could either leave him on the floor, and he still won't get the hang of it, or get the get what I'm trying to teach, show him that he's doing wrong. He constantly leaves the toilet seat up, whatever, and I could just ignore it and make a thing of it, or I could just, be in peace, right? It all just depends on. I had a friend tell me that years ago. Every woman has their, every woman has amount of BS that they can take, and what they're willing to go through with a man, right? And that's true. Let me get a little sip, a sippy sip. So that's kind of going to be the barometer by which you feel like, okay, I am happily married, or I'm happily single, right? That's going to be an individual thing. Because, like I said, I'm the type of woman that I like to have a man, and I want a man. Who wants to be single? That's not fun at all. But I also like to be left alone. Like, I want my man, but I don't want my man to bother me, right? And then some women, they like being married. They like the whole couple thing. They like the whole relationship. They like doing for their man. They like cooking his dinner. They like being a wife. I like being, uh, I don't like being a wife. Not if it means I got to do stuff for you. Like, I like, I like being together. Like, two adults being together. Like, we're together. But if being a wife means that I have to wait on you hand and feet, if being a wife means that uh, I have to do the bulk of the house stuff while you do you, then no, right? If you work at, if you work outside the home, you still have work to do in the home. And plus, I gotta have my own money. I'm not one of those girlies who wants to wait on a man's paycheck. No, it's cool for him to pay everything in the home, but I still need my own chips with dip, right? I'm still gonna need my shopping money. I'm still going to need my pedicure money. I'm gonna still need my hairdo money. I'm still gonna want to go and buy my girls whatever I want to buy them, and I don't need anybody telling me what I can and cannot buy, especially if it's my money, right? I don't need somebody telling me you're shopping too much or you don't need that. And for crying out loud, I do not need somebody breathing down my neck, asking me where I'm going or where I'm at. None of your business. I will be home when I get home. That's just me. That's just me. Or I'll just tell you, oh, I'm going here or I'm going out because I feel like I'm going to be, I'm being petty right now or a little facetious, but let me just keep it real. I feel like if you're married, it's just common courtesy to say, hey, I'll be here or I'm planning to do this because your partner should know where you are at all times. For safety reasons, it's common courtesy, it's just respect, right? Right. So make sure that you're letting him know, or if you're a husband listening, that your wife knows where you are. Even if you're gonna, okay, I'm gonna stop by Chili's after work with the guys. We're gonna watch the game this day. You know, check that your wife doesn't have anything that she needs help with at home, or that it's okay because just because you're married, that doesn't mean that you don't get me time, right? We do still get me time, but make sure that your partner knows. Okay, my so that if something ever happened, your partner should always be able to say, no, they always let me know. They wouldn't go somewhere and I didn't know. We always made sure that we knew where the other one was at. Or you have the location turned on your phones. You guys both know each other's location, right? I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with making decisions with my partner together. I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with, I really don't have a problem with my partner giving his opinions or suggestions. What I do have a problem with, and I know this, if you're married, that this would be very problematic to be a married woman and you feel like you can do what you want to do, but that's just me, right? I feel like we can talk about it and we can discuss it, but at the beginning of the day, charity gonna do what charity wants to do. All right? And I'm sorry if that's a problem for you. I heard what you had to say about it. I get it. You feel differently. You disagree. Maybe we can come back to it in a day or two and we can see if I'm willing to accept what you said or if you couldn't understand where I'm coming from. But at the beginning of the day, I probably don't even want to do that. If I already made my decision, right or wrong, I want to do it. Because I feel like men are going to do what they want to do most of the time, too. But again, that's why I say I want to be together. I want to be together with somebody, but apart. Let me do me and you do you. I don't have to have you in my face every minute worrying about my business because it's not your business. I'm silly, I know. But I think for me, like I said, uh, it's a personal measurement that each one of us has as to how we want to live our life and the way we see our families. So you may disagree completely with me. You want to make that decision with someone else because you need that second set of eyes, or you need someone else to collaborate with you on building your family and rearing your children. I get that. Like when it comes to the kids, I get that. But I gotta say, I'm even territorial on that end. I'm a lioness when it comes to my kids. Like I don't want anybody telling me uh, what my kids are doing, you know, and that's horrible. I know, because I said my kids, but I get territorial with that too. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just overprotective, just because of things I've known about life or saw in life. I just always want to make sure that I'm on the right side of protecting my kids. And I know it shouldn't be like that, but that's just how I am. So you shouldn't marry someone that you feel like you have to protect your kids from, or that you don't feel has your children's best interests at heart. And that's just something that I think that's just something that's internal to me. It wasn't that, you know, I felt had a reason to feel like that ever, but it was just something that was internal to me because of different things I seen in life. And it just always stuck with me. So I always felt like I had to be overprotective when it comes to my kids. And that's why now, I am a single mom. And it's hard because you're on two different sides of the coin with that as well. Either uh, eligible men don't want to date you because you're a single mom, because who wants to raise another man's kid is the thinking that most eligible single men feel, right? And I believe that there are some who do want to marry, who I feel like this: if a man loves you, he will marry you, and he will accept your kids as his own. But that can be a problem with the kids, right? And the goal is to protect them first. So it's like that's a challenge that you'll face as a mother, because you may actually meet someone and they may be a good guy, but then it's like, how can they fit in, right? So I know a lot of mothers remarry because they don't want to be single mothers, or because they just want to have love. And that's okay too, but I'm not that person that's going to do that, because I feel like I gotta put my kids first, right? If you guys just came in, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up for me. It helps your girl it helps YouTube to see that I got people in my chat, people that like it, and then they'll share it with other people, and we can keep this convo going, because as long as you guys are engaging and commenting, I'm gonna keep talking. If I see that I have to work too hard and you guys are not engaging, you're just listening, then you know how that goes. But I do appreciate you guys for listening too, for just sitting there. And that means that you like the combo. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much for doing that. But what else did I talk about? Uh, I just talked about the single mother perspective again. And let's go back to um, married women. For Because I didn't want to get on here and say I'm a single mother. I don't like married mothers and blah blah blah, or married mothers, or like, oh, I don't like single mothers. No, that's not what I wanted to really do. And it really, I said versus, but it really isn't a battle, right? Because I feel like as women, we should always support each other, and especially as mothers, we are in this parenting thing together, and we know what it's like. We know how it feels to carry a child for 9 months, to go through labor, to go through hormonal changes, to experience trying to get your mind and body right, back to snap back after having a child, and to just watch your child grow up, right? To go through those nights of waking up in the wee hours in the morning to feed your child, or when they get a little older and they're scared and they want you to come put them back to sleep because they can't go back to sleep. All those little things that we go through, we're going to go through as mothers. It doesn't matter if we're married or single. And as we watch our children grow up, as mothers, we want what's best for them, right? And that doesn't change how I feel about my children. And I feel like if you really care about your children, if you really love your children, whether you're married or single, that's not going to change how you parent. And I think that's the main thing that mothers have to get in their head. How you parent your child does not change based on if you have a partner, if you have a husband, whatever. You still have to love your child. You still have to nurture your child. You have to protect them, and you have to raise them and then guide them into adulthood. That doesn't change whether somebody is helping you, whether you have to do it on your own. What does change is how you're going to do it. And I think for me, I could have did it a lot easier, way easier, if I wasn't listening to outside noise. If I didn't turn on the TV Or if I did scroll on social media and see people bringing me down because I'm a single mom, I think I could did I could and I could have and I can do deal without all of the outside noise and the judgments and the criticism, right? Because I feel like I'm doing the doggone thing as a mother, and it's not easy, and I have to stay on my knees, my hands and knees in prayer, right? I can't get off my hands and knees praying. I'm praying all throughout the day because I have adult children, I have minor children who they're teens but they're younger, and I have grandchildren, and these are all different personalities that I have to deal with at different stages and cycles of life, who are finding out who they are, who know who they are, who are still maturing, and I have to deal with that, and I have to deal with that on my own, right? I have God who loves me and them, and that has been my saving grace, my belief in God. And I recommend that if you're a mother or a father, if you're a parent, if you're married or single, I highly recommend the big God. Um, when life gets tough, when things get stressful, when money gets tight, when children get sick, when you feel like you're at your wit's end and like you don't know how you're going to make it, that's going to be what gets you over that hump, your relationship with God. And like I said on my other lives, I understand that not everyone is a believer. I am a believer, so I'm going to speak from that perspective. And I understand that people believe in different things, but I'm a Christian, and I'll just say this: whoever your higher power is, you're going to need that as a parent, because you want to keep your children covered, you want to keep your marriage covered, you want to keep you covered, right? So I would just say that, we have to, as a people, we have to stop putting all these big demands on one another. And if the kids are okay, as long as the kids are all right, everything else is secondary. Maybe the kid's hair didn't look like it was in tip top shape, but the mom brushed it up and put some oil in it, and maybe those braids need to be taken out, but you could tell that the kid had a bath, had the face lotioned up, and at least had that ponytail brushed up, right? Or maybe, the mom went an extra week without getting the son's haircut, but she done brushed him down and oiled him up. His clothes are clean. He needs a haircut, but maybe she didn't have that extra $20 that weekend, right? Instead of coming down on her, celebrate her for what she is doing. Celebrate her for the mom that she is, because every parent teacher conference, she's there. Every performance at school, she's there. The kid turns in all of their homework. The kid is respectful to the teachers and adults. When I go to my kids' school, they say, "Well, how did you get your daughter to be a straight A student?" Or they ask me certain things, or if I had a kid that was goofing off at school and they turned it around, I get asked by the teacher, "Well, how did you get them to turn around?" By talking to them and letting them know this is what it is, and they thought about life a little bit. It wasn't nothing major. I talked to my kids a lot. I talked to them to, I'm blue in the face about life and their, my expectations for them and the kind of life I want them to have. But yes, like I was saying, if that mother, whether she's married or single, if she's there for her kid, if she's putting, forth all of her efforts, and if that kid is in a safe environment, because a safe environment is with people who love them, who are protecting them, who are making sure that their needs are met, they're going to the doctor, they're getting the food that they need, they're not being ignored, they're not being neglected, because a neglected child when you see one. And that kid doesn't have to be perfect, just attended to, right? So let's try to not to come down so hard on everybody, because we don't want to make people feel bad, because that messes with your mental health, thinking about, okay, I'm a single mom, so society sees me as less than. It doesn't make me feel that way, but it does. It doesn't make me feel less than. It makes me feel. It can make you feel angry. Like, who do you think you are? Like, you don't get to you don't get to look down on me because I'm a single mom, and that makes me feel like I have to come out with my dukes up and start defending myself. And I can come off as bitter when I start doing that. But I don't begrudge a woman for being married. I don't feel like I said, it's not for me at this season in my life. At this time in my life, I'm just happy to raise my daughters, happy to do my content creation, write my books, happy to finally be at peace. I'm enjoying life finally. I'm finally getting my Charity's got her groove back, right? Hey, I'm finally getting there. And I don't want somebody to come mess that up. But I also don't have I have nothing to say about a woman who is married and is doing her thing, okay? And she's rocking it with her husband. I love to see that too. I love to see a couple, strong, united front. The kids can look up to their parents, and you know, but don't think that I'm not doing my thing, that my kids are not doing their thing. We're doing our thing too, right? So it shouldn't be a battle of married women versus a single woman. Because I've heard married women say, "Oh, I don't know what that's like. I'm married," or you know, I I don't know how you do it. Shoot, I don't know what I would do without John, or I don't know what I would do without Keith. Honey, I don't know. I don't pay the bills. Keith pays all the bills, as if they have one up on a single mom. It's not a you versus her thing. It's not a she versus her thing. You're married and you're happy. Maybe she's happy as a single mom. I know I would say I'm happier than I've ever been. And I'm at more peace than I've ever been. And I love that for me. I can't say that I wouldn't be happier with somebody, but I'm happy now. So if somebody were to come in my life, they would have to add to it, or I'd just be okay. And I told somebody that recently. I said, you know what? I'm not sure if God has somebody for me. And they was like, oh, I believe you're gonna find somebody. I was like, no, I don't. I don't think you get it. Like, I feel like God wants me to be happy. That's what I feel like. I really feel that if there was somebody out there that was good enough for me, God would have sent them my way. Or maybe I'm still not ready, but because I have my ideals about life and the way I want my life to go. I have things I'm doing. Um, I may want to be on live for 2 or 3 hours one day. I don't really have that time to give to somebody else. So, I just feel like in this season of my life, my person may not be out there yet. Maybe I'm not ready for them. Maybe they're not ready for me. But I think I want to be mature enough and wise enough. And that's why I want to talk to the single mothers right now. Be mature enough and wise enough not to cave into societal pressure that you need to be with somebody, because you may be better off where you're at right now until those kids get older. Don't let loneliness, don't let singledom or feeling like you need help cause you to get into a relationship that is going to be uh, a disaster later. I see a lot of single mothers that look like me doing that, and their children suffer greatly, and the women go through Hades, okay? Hades. Unnecessarily. It never needed to happen. And then she wishes that she never, you know, went out there and did that. Like, there are Russell Wilsons out there, but it's not a lot of them. And unless you're a Sierra, or a woman like that, and you can find you a Russell like that, then don't compare yourself to them, right? Do not compare yourself to them. Live your life on your terms, right? Let's check the notes because I know I probably didn't touch on something. I took a lot of notes. And let me see about my notes. How you guys doing? You hanging in there with me? Is everybody hanging in there? Everybody hanging in there. All right, let me see what we got going on here. I had I wanted to do a show on, what was I gonna do, on side hustles that you could do um, as a mom. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do that next, but I did have that in mind. So we'll see. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, I didn't see a lot of you in here. I'm sorry, guys. That's why I had to get my other phone because um, I didn't see you guys in here. Thank you guys for joining. I wasn't ignoring you guys, but for some reason, I don't see you guys on. And thanks for joining. Things worth knowing. Thanks for joining. Butterfly Family Involves and Family Vlogs. Thanks for joining my live. I wasn't ignoring you guys at all. And I said to myself, you know what, grab your phone. Because I just wasn't seeing none of this. I'm sorry. Put a one in the chat if you're still in here with me so I can see you. Ann Williams, I'm enjoying the conversation. Things worth knowing. Hello. Uh, yes, I'm planning on having a maid in the near future myself. That's right, Butterfly. That makes all the difference in the world, right? Um, and Williams, that's what I said. I want me a chef so they could cook me some healthy food. Right. Because I'm always talking about eating clean. All I need is somebody to chop up my vegetables for me. That'll make life so much easier. They can chop the veggies. I could just sit back and tell them what to do and how I like my food. And once I get them trained properly, they can do everything. But I think that's what I'm going to do in my next content creator bag. My next big content creator bag, I'm going to hire a maid and a chef, and it's going to be on like Donkey Kong. Right, right. Yeah, so, but Ann, I think you said good night. Let me see. What I got going on? What I got going on? Let me see. So, yes, well, do you guys have anything planned for the weekend? And if you do, let me know what's up. What you guys got going on? Um, I'll be planning my daughter's Sweet 16, so that's what my mission will be, is to get everything squared away for that. Um, she was supposed to get her hair done tomorrow, but I actually was able to change her appointment so that she could get her hair done on Tuesday, which is her actual birthday and the day of. Because I was like, your birthday's on a Tuesday. Do you want to have your party the Saturday before or the Saturday after? And she was like, well, it's summer. Like, does it make a difference? Can I just have it on my birthday? And I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to do. So we already picked out her cake. She got her outfit in the mail. Well, her dress in the mail. She got her shoes. She got everything that she wants for her big day. And at first she was like, oh, I have to get my hair done on Saturday, but my birthday's on Tuesday. And I'm like, that's the only appointment. But the stylist actually released more appointments. So I hurried up and I rescheduled that. So she'll actually be getting ready the day of her birthday, which is better. So now I can focus on getting everything ready for her day, her sweet 16. And I'm excited about that. My daughter actually shares a birthday with her father that passed, so um, that's always a big thing for me because I'm thinking about my daughter and celebrating her, but I'm also thinking about that her father is not there to celebrate with her because, you know, they were born on the same day, so they both have their birthdays together. But other than that, planning for her birthday and making sure I got all the last details complete. I'll just be chilling at the house. This is like really my first week off. This is our first week of vacation, summer vacation. Last week, my uh, eldest teenager graduated from high school, so I've been teaching her how to drive this week. And I just been, really at home a lot this week and just resting. And, my kids would never go for me just chilling out all Saturday. But I would love to do that. I would love to just chill and do nothing all day tomorrow. And I think that's exactly what I'll do. um, I think I just had to really sit down and decide what I want to get for on Amazon. And once I do that, then we're good to go. I don't have to do anything else. So that's kind of what I want to do. Make sure I got everything that she needs for her party and then go from there. But yes, supposed to be hot where I live for the next week or so. And I'm just gonna, take every day by day. I have different plans. I want to go out of state for the before they go back to school. My 18-year-old will be starting college in the fall, and then I have a daughter in high school still and a daughter in middle school. So before we go back to our regularly scheduled programming, I would like to do a vacation. And these planes are just falling out of the sky left and right. And I don't know. I just do not know if it's a good time to travel. But then you think about it, they're falling out of the sky like that. You could be literally anywhere and something could happen, right? So not getting on the plane is not the answer either, right? That last plane crash in India, that was just like, and then that one man that walked away, I was just like, some people might say, oh, wow, how did God let that happen? But to me, that was God. The one survivor to walk away from a plane crash, I wonder what's going through his mind, like how he feels, right? Because you got to be feeling like, God, why me? Because they thought no one survived. And then they look and then here he is walking out of the ashes. And for me, you know, I know things happen for a reason, but I just felt like God spared his life for a reason. And they don't know why these planes are crashing like that. Um, I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories, but because I don't know either. They don't know and I don't know. But I just hope they figure it out because that is crazy, right? For something like that to happen. I feel so bad for those people. And then there was this family, the father He was like a computer tech, and he was working in London, and he had went ahead of his family and established himself there, and he had been working in London for like 6 years and kind of going back and forth to India, where his wife was a doctor, and they were finally gonna all move to London to be with the husband. They had like 2 children, and she had just uh, left that job, and they had packed up everything, and the husband went to get, you know, to meet with the wife and everything, and the whole family lost their lives on that plane crash. And it's like, on one end, you're thinking like at least they all aspired together, but then it's like to think about their families that they're left behind. I know that's going to be tragic for their family, and it was like you just don't know. So what can happen? So I just think about things like that, and so I have plans, but then at the same time, it's like I just want to enjoy life and be grateful, raise my girls. I also have plans to, I said this on another live as well, to visit the beach as often as I can this summer. That's something that I really want to do. So I hope I am able to bring those plans to fruition. And one last thing, um, I see a few new people came in. Please go ahead and hit my thumbs up for me, guys, as you come in. That helps me in the algorithm. Algo rhythm. Um, that's one thing I hate doing too as a single mom. I hate driving. Period. I just I don't want to be married. I just want to be together, but I do want to enjoy the privilege of having, because that's what else I need. I said I need a maid, I need a chef, I need a nanny, and I also need a chauffeur. I need a chauffeur because I'm tired of driving. And if I could have somebody to just drive me everywhere I want to go, and no, not an Uber. I don't trust those Ubers. I'm I need my man to drive me wherever I want to go. That's the one thing. If I envy a married woman for anything, it would be having a husband to drive. Yes, I need you to drive, baby. Get us to where we're trying to go, right? Because your girl, she don't like driving. Not one bit. Not at all. But thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I am Charity, the Mommy Money Getter. I am a mom. On my channel, I shop, I cook, I talk a little mess here and there, but I also try to inspire and enlighten. So if you are watching the replay of this video, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. Once again, you're going to love it here. You guys have a great night.